Welcome to the Two Off the Tee show on Fantasy Six Packs YouTube channel. I am your host, Keith Flemming. With me, as always, my favorite gambling degenerate, the guy who told you to take Brooks Koepka last week at 22-1, Alan, aka at ActivelyLazy85 on Twitter. Alan, congrats on a great pick.
Yeah, I'm gonna just keep picking Brooks every major. It's bound to hit one every 5 or something like that. I don't know.
A pretty impressive stuff for sure. I did have Koepka in my DraftKings lineup, or my 10 plays that I give each week on fantasy6pack.net. That is 4 weeks in a row that the eventual winner of the tournament came from those plays. So I may just have to start playing them all, Alan. But real quickly, let's go through the PGA Championship. Koepka wins the 2023 PGA Championship, just like Alan told you he would. In winning that tournament, he became only the third player in the modern era to have 3 PGA Championship victories with Jack and Tiger. The reason there's other guys with 3 PGA Championship wins, but not all of theirs were stroke plays. Some of them were back when they did match play for the event. Most impressively, he started with a 2 over par round in the first round, and then he shoots 66, 66, 67 to win by 2. He became the first player in tour history to win 3 majors in one state other than Georgia. Becomes the 20th player in the history of the game to win 5+ majors. The last was Phil Mickelson in 2013. There are now only 14 players in the history of the game with more majors than Brooks Koepka. This is his 5th top 5 at the PGA Championship in the last 9 years. And in the last 63 years, since 1960, he is only the 10th player to have won 3 times at the same major. Jack and Tiger just ridiculously did it at all 4. Gary Player at the Masters and the Open. Tom Watson the Open. Arnold Palmer the Masters. Nick Faldo the Masters and Open. Phil Mickelson the Masters. Seve Ballesteros the Open. Hal Irwin the U.S. Open, the only one had done that. And Brooks Koepka, other than Tiger and Jack, the only other guy to do it at the PGA Championship. Just unbelievable stuff. Michael Block, what did you think about him this week?
I think Michael Block's a great story. I'm inspired. Maybe that could be me one day. No, I'm joking. But
Right.
no, he's a cool dude, man. It's great to see how humble he was about the experience, and then just how, like, for somebody that's not a professional, how he handled the pressure. Because again, he needed to make that putt at the end to get in the top 15, and to hell with qualifying for next year's thing. You're talking
Right.
$300,000.
Exactly.
Like that. I think somebody did the math. It was like X amount of. It's like hundreds and hundreds of like
Oh, you'd have to
lessons
do
he
over
had to do.
1,000 lessons to make that money.
So so I'm like, man, that's a lot of pressure. It's not like a half court shot, as a gimmick. Like, this dude is $300,000. You just gotta birdie where Rory couldn't do it, and everybody else before you couldn't do it, but you can do it. And then obviously the hole in one was awesome. Again, just
He dunked it, which you rarely see.
Yeah, if you could really personify living the dream, that's truly what it was just now, and that's awesome.
Yeah, just absolutely stole the show. The hole in one on 15 was, it's like what they said. If it was a movie, that would be the part where somebody would, chime in and say, okay, this is getting a little unrealistic. Obviously, he got back in the PGA Championship next year. I'd like to add to not just the putt, the chip was not an easy, like, it was not an easy up and down. He also has received sponsor exemptions to 2 events, including this week at the Charles Schwab. It was the 3rd best finish by a PGA professional in the history of the PGA Championship, and the first professional to finish inside the top 20 in 37 years. So I was arguing with several people online this weekend that you can make a case, seriously, that what he did was more amazing than what Koepka did, which I know sounds crazy, but it's less precedented, just unbelievable stuff. I'm so happy for him, happy for the PGA of America, because this is their event. And obviously this is somebody who has given their life to the game, to growing it, the business of it. PGA professionals rarely get super rich off of being PGA professionals. He's on his way, though, because I think his rate per lesson probably just went up after Sunday.
Yeah.
Real quickly, and then we'll get on to this week. The PGA Championship ratings were down significantly. We had 4.517 million, I think was the average viewership for this week or on Sunday. The year before is 5.2 million. The Phil Mickelson one is no surprise, 6.58 million. That was the most in the last 5 years. But 2019 and 2020 also had over 5 million. So we're talking about a pretty significant decline in viewership. What do you think that's from?
Correct me if I'm wrong. Wasn't there a basketball game going on during that time, or
it started at 8:30? So
it's 8:30. Okay,
really,
well,
yeah.
Well, I don't know. I mean, people are fickle, man. It's like if you couldn't enjoy it, then you just don't like golf. I mean, and I'm not saying that as a purist. I'm saying that literally as a casual observer of golf. Like that's what I am. I'm a casual fan, and speaking on behalf of casual fans, if you turned it off, I don't know what more could you want? You got the underdog in block. You got a good battle up at
tournament
the top
wasn't decided the 17th hole.
Yeah, but Hovland, Koepka, Scheffler was on the prowl. Like again, like I don't know. I mean, if people are not tuning into that, then they just can't be satisfied. To hell with them.
The one thing I will say is I would love to see the streaming numbers because I do believe more people stream stuff now than they did in the last few years. I think that number continues to increase. So, who knows how many people were watching it on their phone or laptop. It's why I don't really pay attention to ratings anymore because people watch stuff on their own time in a million different ways other than through cable television.
Mm-hmm.
So that could be a cause of it, but it was just interesting, so I did want to bring it up. All right, before we get into the Charles Schwab, I do want to remind everyone you can become an all-access member of Fantasy Six Pack by going to fantasysixpack.net /plans. You'll get access to the award-winning rankings, their Discord, tools, and much more. Join today by using the promo code F6PMLB for an additional 15% off. And again, that is, since I butchered it the first time, fantasysixpack.net /plans. All right, so one of the tougher weeks of the year. It's never fun to go from a major championship to a non-major championship, and this is a non-elevated event. It's the Charles Schwab Challenge at Colonial Country Club, but Colonial, man, it is a PGA staple. This is the 77th time a PGA event has been hosted at Colonial, so this is definitely a storied event, which lacks the elevated status, which obviously that has proven that's a huge bump to the strength of field because, I mean, come on, it's a lot more money. But even with that, they've attracted a really strong field, despite being sandwiched in between the PGA Championship and one of my favorite non-major venues, the Memorial, Jack's Place, next week. 8 of the top 20 players in the world are teeing up this week, including Spieth and Scheffler, both from Texas. They're joined by Max Homa, Victor Hovland, Tony Finau, Sam Burns, Colin Morikawa, and Sungjae Im. Colonial Country Club is a classical tree-lined positional golf course, obviously with rich history, as I just spoke about. Another par 70, second straight week, 7,200 yards. This course has stood the test of time, and it challenges the field year after year without really any major renovations. It keeps scores in check and has led to many dramatic finishes. Look, last year, Scotty Scheffler and Sam Burns in a playoff. The winning score has pushed beyond 15 under only twice in the last 11 events. With the area receiving less rain in recent years, I think the winning score is going to kind of be in that range we're talking about, maybe 11 to 13, 14 under, because it's going to play firm and fast. Course history has proven to be very predictive at Colonial. We talk about all the time, what stats, what things do you need to look up to get your best advantage for your DFS, betting lineups, whatever. Of the last 8 winners at this event, 5 had posted a top 10 or better within the previous 3 trips to that course, or excuse me, previous 3 years, not previous 3 trips. Only Justin Rose, when he won in 2018, did so in his debut appearance. The list of players with a top 10 finish over the last 3 years at this event include, so these are names that you should be considering if you're making bets to win: Jordan Spieth, Tony Finau, Justin Rose, Emiliano Grillo, Colin Morikawa, Brian Harmon, Brendan Todd, Charlie Hoffman, Sungjae Im, Davis Riley, Cam Davis, Scotty Scheffler, Sam Burns, Troy Merritt, Scott Stallings, and Patton Kazir. For course comps, I went with TPC River Highlands in Harbortown, Wally Country Club, which is the home of the Sony Open, and Pebble Beach. I've been really trying recently to do comp courses that they've already played this season, so you can kind of get an idea of what kind of players have done well on these courses coming into it. So that was kind of why I leaned in, particularly to the last 2 of Pebble and Wally Country Club. For key stats, strokes gained approach, greens and regulations gained. This is a true second shot golf course, iron shot. It has really tricky Bermuda rough, so it's going to be difficult to hit the green if you miss fairways. Par 4 scoring from 350 to 450 yards. Proximity from 125 to 200, again, leaning on the irons. Good drives gained / driving accuracy. Strokes gained putting on bent greens. Doubles avoided because, believe it or not, this is a course that you see a lot of big numbers at. And then, of course, the course and comp course history. Is there anything I missed there that you were looking at when previewing or getting ready for your plays this week?
No, I just kept it simple with approach shots. Just seemed like that was like the premium, because it doesn't matter what you do. If you don't have a good second shot, you're done.
Yeah, and putting, I meant to mention, is going to be a huge key.
But I feel like putting it's generic. Like putting always factors in.
Right, and it's random a lot of times. Like you'll have guys that are, for instance, not a very good putter, and if they gain 6-7 shots on the greens, they're probably going to have a good chance to win because, again, they're beating the field on the greens, and that can just happen. Anybody who plays golf on a regular basis knows that sometimes you go out and, you just start making putts. And I've always said putting is so much confidence. When you feel like you're going to make putts, you are going to make putts. When you feel like you're going to miss putts, good luck. My DraftKings plays, let's go over them real quick, then we'll get to the betting board. Again, you can find this on fantasy6pack.net. Last week was not great other than the fact that I had, Brooks Koepka's 4 straight week. I've had the winner in my 10 plays. I say that because only 6 of the 10 made the cut. I don't like that. The previous 2 weeks I had 9 of 10. The previous 3 I had at least 8 of 10. That's what I like to give each week. So that way I'm giving people a real chance to at least cash. Last week, if you probably went heavy on my plays, unless it was just Koepka, you probably didn't do great. So apologize about that. But this week, the official lineup I gave in the article: Jordan Spieth, 9,900. Justin Rose, 9,300. Ricky Fowler, 8,900. Brendan Todd, 7,800. Eric Cole, 7,200. And our boy, friend of the pod, Ben Martin, 6,800. You know how we feel about Ben when it's a course that doesn't play long. The other options I gave in the article: Sungjae Im, 9,500. Denny McCarthy, 8,700. Emiliano Grillo, 7,700. And I just think one of the best young players in the game, and a name you need to pay attention to in the next couple of years, rounding it out, Ashe Biate, 6,700. Those are my DK plays.
I was just looking at the DraftKings because I was like, why didn't I see Sungjae's name? He's like sandwiched in between. Honestly, I'm not used to seeing his odds that low, so I
cheap.
I just overlooked it. When you said Sungjae, I had to open the app and look because I was like, I did not see Sungjae on there. Did he scratch? But no, he's on there.
That's why he was included. Trust me, Alan, was literally price point, because on this kind of course, I mean, I don't understand how you couldn't say Sungjae at that price. It's not every bit as valuable as every name. in front of him, to be honest. Even though it is a deep field, again, 7 of the top 20 players in the world, Sungjae is the ultimate ball striker. So not at all afraid to go with him there. All right, moving on to bets to win. Let's start with Scheffler. Do you like Scheffler this week? I hate his odds.
He's 4 to 1.
It's insane.
That's crazy. That's crazy. But hey, he be winning, man. So I mean,
he does.
It'd be
Did you
nice
see a little bit though what I was talking about last?
No, well, I told you it's funny every time I'm like, oh, he's right. Then I'm like, no, he's wrong. Then I'm like, oh, he's right. No, he's wrong. So to me, that's an indication that he's not being consistent because we don't know what he is. Because again, the first 2.5 rounds you were right, and then the last round and a half, I was looking back at you like, really? So,
but
who knows?
When he's in contention, and that's what I mean, is like when he truly has a chance the last few weeks to kind of grab a tournament, he seems to not make any putts, and that makes me think he's pressing, which is what I said. His putting this year has really been bad overall, but it's been really bad, since the match play. And again, you can be the best ball striker in the world, which Scottie Scheffler is. There's no doubt about that. But, I mean, just ask Rory McIlroy. If you go through stretches where you can't make putts, it's just tough to win on the PGA Tour because you have to be able to make, especially those, like, say, 8 to 15 footers, which he missed, again, probably 3-4 on Sunday at the PGA Championship, where I think, maybe he could have rattled Koepka a little bit if he ever could have got, like, within one of the lead or tied for the lead. But the entire event, he was at least 2 back on Sunday.
Yeah, and in this field, I mean, he's not going to face the same kind of pressure,
right?
Presumably. So, yeah, his odds are where you would expect. I'm not betting it.
Do you have any of the 14 or 16 to 1 guys? Hovland, Finau, Spieth, or Morikawa?
I got Morikawa. Is it Morikawa or Morikawa? I always say Morikawa.
You're asking the wrong guy.
I got Morikawa. He's at 16 to 1. Approach shots and irons is just his game. I know his putting's still inconsistent, but again, hoping that hey, this is going to be the time where it looks like he's back to being unstoppable. So I did put like Morikawa / Finau because Finau fits the course and everything. And at 14 to 1, I think he's got some plus side value because honestly, I feel like he should have been at like 10 to 1, maybe even 9 to 1, considering that Scheffler is at 4 to 1. Looking at how the course plays and his game, I think 14 to 1 is a nice price to back him.
So I've got Spieth on my card, 14 to 1.
I had him originally, and I just took him off.
The thing for me was he showed no signs of the injury to the wrist that made him skip the Byron Nelson. I think he's at a decent price. It's why he's anchoring my DK lineup this week because he's cheaper than those other guys. But, 4 straight top 10 finishes at Colonial. He gained nearly 9 shots last week off the tee and on approach, at a very difficult venue to do that. If his putter can get going this week, which it's crazy that's really where we're at with Jordan Spieth now. He used to be the greatest putter I've ever seen, and now it's like, can he get his putter going because his ball striking is always so good. But I went back and looked at it. He's gained over 16 shots on the field putting at this venue the last 3 years. So I think if there's any place that he feels comfortable on the greens, it's here. He putts usually the best on bent greens. I think he really does have a great chance of winning this tournament.
What are his odds again?
He's 14 to 1.
Okay.
He's in that group. It's not great, but I just feel like that other than Scheffler, he would probably be my second guy that I think would be the favorite in this, and you're getting, 10 to 1 better odds than Scheffler.
Yeah, I'm not going to talk you off of it because, like I said, I originally, I always look at the course and just do a quick, pick of people and then go into the stats. But my initial pick was Spieth. The way my lineup is set up right now for betting, I could throw in 2 14 to 1s or 2 16 to 1s, and it ain't gonna be any different for my general pot because I've got 3 long shots.
Do you have who's your next low odd play?
I've got Tommy Fleetwood at 28-1.
I really strongly considered him.
Yeah, just because putting should be in approach shots. Like he's
playing great.
Yeah, he's playing great. And I just need him to be aggressive, which is weird because I don't think it's in his nature
To win, right?
Yeah, to win. Like I feel like
like
that's the only thing missing. That's why he doesn't win. He's just not aggressive enough. Like he's so conservative, and it's like just one time, go for it, man.
Take some chances, bro.
Yeah. if he does, like if he just says F it, why not? Because this isn't like he says, not an elevated event. So what does he have to lose? So I feel like he's in play and he's getting there because he's one of the guys that we just don't know why he hasn't won yet. We're expecting him to cross over at some point.
Yeah, my next guy is Rose, 25-1.
That makes sense.
He won this event 2018.
And he played really well last week.
He played really well last week. He has 2 other top 20 finishes other than his win at this venue in 5 career appearances. So 3 out of 5 times he's played well here. And again, you mentioned he's in great recent form. He's got 4 top 25s and 2 top 10s in his last 5 starts, including a top 10 at a major last week. In those 5 events, Rose is averaging over a stroke on strokes gained, tee to green, approach, around the greens, and putting. I mean, what more do you want? And again, he won this year at one of the comp courses that I really looked at, which was Pebble. I think Rose has got a great chance to win this week. I got him in a few of my props as well. Who's your next lowest guy you got?
Cam Davis at 35-1. I think he's been playing really well. And just like honestly looking at the Moosonomics, I think is what it's called. Looking at their stats, the breakdown from that angle wasn't really positive on Cam Davis. But I talk about it sometimes with gambling. Like there's data and then there's just the eye test.
Yep.
If a guy is playing really well and he's trending up, regardless of what you see in the statistics, if the current form is trending up, take a shot, because it could be that this person is now crossing over, they're excelling, whereas the historical data just doesn't matter at this point, because what you're seeing right now is a player that has elevated his play. And I think that's what we have in Cam Davis. And then at 35-1, given that there's really only one true dog in this field, and then that's Scotty Scheffler, I think he's got a good chance. Like, I mean, Spieth obviously is a proven winner and he can do it too.
No, it's fair to say.
But it's not as intimidating.
Absolutely. Yeah. No, I love Spieth, you know that, but I mean, win more, right? Like he has knocked on the door a bunch.
Yeah.
But I mean, the reality is he has one win practically in the last year, despite being in contention in all those events. So no, there's definitely only one dog in this event. It's funny that you talk about having a feeling, because my next play is Denny McCarthy, 50-1. Very similar reasons to Cam Davis. He's got 5 straight finishes of 29th or better on tour, including 3 top 20s. He didn't even have a great record at this venue, but I think that'll change this week. He's just hitting the ball so well. In his last 2 events, he's gained 14.3 total strokes on the field. One of those in a major, and 12.9 on the green. So he is both, playing well overall, but most importantly, he is putting out of his mind. The last course was also a bent green course. Denny historically puts great on bent greens. So I think that, he's a guy that's due too. He's had, I think, one really good finish this year. Denny is usually somebody who has several top 5s by the end of the season. And again, in the field that you only really got one dog, I think that 50-1 is pretty good odds on him. Who do you have next?
3 long shots, just based off of approach strokes gained for similar courses, and then ball striking, and again course comps, the Bermuda greens and so forth. Just taking that into consideration, I got Tom Hoge 80-1, and then Sepp Straka at 90 to 1, and then Ben Griffin at 150 to 1. Because I mean, it's a tournament where I'm gonna try for some big value. Like, again, it's not an elevated event. And you know, anytime I come off a win in golf, I usually, especially if the next event is kind of like I'm going to take some chances to try to sneak some value in on a long shot or somebody, even these guys being in props.
Yeah, 4 long shots have won this event in the last 10 years. The reason I was smiling when you gave those names was Sepp Straka was originally on my list. I ended up taking him off, but I like what I've seen out of Straka. This is the kind of like venue that if he plays like he did the last couple of weeks, he absolutely can compete and win here. I've got 2 80 to 1 guys. Brendan Todd, 80 to 1. One of my favorite plays in DFS this week. I mentioned obviously the stat when discussing the course that a majority of recent winners had, you know, a top 10 finish in their the last 3 years at this event. Well, how about Todd has back-to-back top 8 finishes at Colonial? He putts the best on bent greens. He plays well in windy conditions. And finally, he has a second place at Pebble, a comp course this year, and a 21st place finish at the Sony Open on Wiley Country Club, another comp course. So I love Brendan Todd. I think that he is a horse for course. If you look at his career, he's somebody that he eats. And the reason he regains his card is he plays certain courses really well. This is definitely one of them. The other guy at 80 to 1, Eric Cole. I'm going to continue to ride this guy. It's one of the best stories of 2023.
I'm Team Kirk. You got to pick one or the other, Kirk or Cole.
True. He's gone from an unknown in the golfing world to someone
I've been following
who was tied for the lead in a major championship just last week. I know that he ended up finishing 15th, but he's in the top 10 in the field in strokes gained approach. That's huge. We talked about this as a second shot course. He's picked up over 5 strokes on the field, tee to green in 3 of his last 4 events. I expect him to contend this week and potentially pull a Justin Rose where he could win the event the first time he's played there. Speaking from experience, sometimes players play better when they haven't seen a course. I know that seems crazy. One of the biggest events I've ever won in 2015, an invitational. I had never seen the course. I hadn't even played 9 holes and shot 2 great rounds, one in a playoff. I haven't shot a round that low since in like 7 years of playing in the same tournament. So it just kind of shows maybe when my brain is not, you know, in overdrive, you can just go play, which sometimes is a good thing. I do have 2 long shots. Ben Martin, 130 to 1. It's been nearly 8 years since he picked up his first win. During the 23 season, Martin is playing his best golf in quite some time. He has 3 top 10 finishes on the season, including a 13th place finish at Comp Course Pebble Beach. Martin has not played at Colonial since 2018, but he does have success here. In 5 career starts, he has 3 top 30 finishes and a top 10 in 2015. And then Ashke Biate, 150 to 1. Again, I just think this dude is super talented. Any tournament that puts emphasis on ball striking, that is his bread and butter. In his last 2 events, he's gained over 12 strokes on the field in tee to green and on approach. So his putting has been an issue. His around the green, like, you know, scrambling has been an issue. But I think this is the kind of venue that if he hits his irons and his tee ball as well as he can, it won't hurt him as much as other venues. Moving on to prop bets. The top 5, they're almost all just, for me, you know, doubling down. I'm learning from you that, you know, that's really the way you need to go. I have Justin Rose plus 550 to top 5. I really like that play. The 2 guys that I have that I do not have in my bets to win are Ricky Fowler plus 650. He has 3 top 30 finishes at this event, including a top 10 in 2015. Again, in non-major events, Fowler, 6 top 20s in his last 8 starts. Brian Harmon, 10 to 1. He has 2 top 25 finishes here, including a T8 in 2021. He's missed the cut in 4 of his last 5 PGA events, but that is the exact kind of course Harmon thrives on. So I like him this week. And again, doubling down on Denny McCarthy 10-1. And I can't believe Brandon Todd is 14-1. He finished 8th and 3rd the last 2 years. So I think there's great value in that. Do you have any top 5 plays you want to mention?
I didn't do any top 5s, but I'll probably end up putting Cam Davis in there.
Okay.
Because I'm really high on him winning. But I have Eric Cole in my top 10 at 7-1. And then real quick, I just wanted to get your opinion. Who do you think has the advantage in names? Is it the Bens on PGA Tour or the Camerons or the Cams?
I think it would be the Cams, even though they lost arguably, well, they did lose the best Cam last year. If Cam Smith was in this, it wouldn't even be close.
Yeah. There's just so many of them. I think last week I was like, there's too many Cams.
We'll have Justin's too.
Yeah. I was cracking up because Ben Griffin's in my bets. Ben Taylor is in my props, but I also had circled Ben Martin too. And then I was looking at the stats and I'm like, am I looking at the same guy or is it just like the Bens were blending?
Well, and unfortunately, a lot of golfers look very, very similar.
Yeah,
especially with their hats on. I also have Eric Cole 7-1 as one of my top 10 plays, as well as again, I'm Brandon Todd plus 550. Again, 2 top 8s the last 2 years. I have Matt Naismith 9-1. He's got 3 straight top 35 finishes on the PGA Tour. He's gained over 15 strokes on the field, tee to green in that span. So he is really striping the ball. He's just the big thing though is he's gaining strokes on the greens in 3 of his last 4 events, something he is not known for. And then kind of doubling down again on those long shots. Ben Martin 10-1 to top 10, and Ashley Biate 12-1. The top 20 plays, again, mostly just doubling down with Brandon Todd plus 240. Again, you don't finish top or T8, T3 2 years in a row at an event without really liking it. And again, he's done well both at Pebble and at Whaley this year, 2 comp courses. So I'm hoping to hit the trifecta. I'd actually hope to hit the Grand Slam because that would include the win at 80-1.
Yeah, I think I've done that once.
Have you really?
Yeah, with the golfer once. Yeah.
I need that to happen this year. Ashley Biate plus 450. And then just to throw some guys out there, Adam Long plus 650. It's really surprising. He's got 2 top 20s and 3 top 35 finishes and 4 career starts here. So horse for course. And you're getting plus 650 on a guy, again, that 2 out of the 4 times he's played, he's finished top 20. Zach Johnson is interesting because it's playing firm and fast. He is plus 650. He's made 3 straight cuts at this event. He had a top 20 last year. He just seems to play, firm course as well. If you look at the season, because distance isn't as much of an issue. There's holes on Colonial that you can't your drive past 280. So that's going to only help Zach Johnson. And then finally, in the why not category, my man Michael Block, 11-1 to top 20. I know it's probably not going to happen. I have, so much has been made about his unbelievable PGA Championship, and it should be. He did miss 2 cuts earlier this year. He's already played 2 other PGA events, and he missed the cut. So, but if he ever, again, I'm such a big believer in confidence. And if you can't gain confidence from a T15 where you get up and down on the 72nd hole to guarantee you get back in the PGA Championship next year. You played with Justin Rose and Rory McIlroy on the weekend. I mean, why not at 11-1? And again, this is a kind of like the PGA, of course, that the scoring is not going to be out of control to where you don't have to go out and shoot like 65, 4 days in a row to be in the thick of it. I just think 11-1, why not? And, you were asking about the Bens. Michael Block already has his picture on DK. Ben Griffin has been a play on my DK plays for months at this point. He still ain't got a damn picture. How do you think he pulled that off?
The block is hot. That's what he needs. He needs to make a shirt. I was gonna say this is a good time to look at since you were talking about course history. Using one of my strategies, if you look back at the event last year, if there's a guy that's in that event last year that was a high odd person that just happened to crack the top 10, look at what they are this year as far as their odds are, and typically you'll find value in a prop again, like a top 10 or a top 20 prop on that person. Usually guys like Straka would be a person that I would play in that kind of scenario. And I think we did that earlier
How
this
about
year.
Scott Stallings? He finished T4th here last year.
Okay. Yeah. And he's probably, what's his top 20 odds?
It's probably pretty good.
Yeah. I mean, honestly,
7-1.
Yeah, that would be a person that I would look at just to see how they're doing. Make sure there's no injuries or anything they're dealing with. But yeah, just take a flyer on their top 20. If they placed top 10 last year, clearly they like the course. So give it a shot, man.
This is where DK sometimes can kiss my ass. He's plus 450. He's 6,900 on DraftKings. So that is showing he is a long shot.
Yeah.
But they're only giving you plus 450 odds. I guarantee you, because, right, of that 4th place finish last year. Davis Riley is another one who finished T4th last year. He's in terrible form recently.
Yeah.
But again, let's see if I can find his real quick. He's at plus 400. See, these guys are getting good.
Yeah,
I mean, they're the top 20s anymore.
The sports books are probably, or in the past, were probably losing money on these long odds on top 20s. And think about it, man.
That's where 20, we ate last year.
Yeah, it's 20 spots. It's really easy. What's hard is calling winners and top 5s because the margin for error is so much smaller. But you give him a lot of these guys 20 spots, man. Anybody can call it. Shoot, my son can call it.
I mean, it's like Carson Young being plus 450 to top 20. Come on, man. He's like 6,400 on DK. So
if I felt good about somebody, I would lay $100 on them at plus 450 or something like that. I mean, you come up 4-1. It's not that bad.
That's true. That's a fair point. My guy this week would again probably be Beate. I believe in his game. He's been playing well recently, and he just continues to I mean, he is a ball striker. Like, I can't wait for the U.S. Open. I hope he gets into it because he will definitely be on my betting board for it.
My only issue with Beate is the 2 times I've seen him play really well, he's had to do like some godly like saves. Like, he's shot like low scores to get into the last round or make the cut. And it just worries me a little with this course being a little bit tougher, a little bit more penal. But I will say that Aaron Rye, every time I don't pick him, he shows up. So I'm not going to pick him. I'm giving everybody one. I'm not picking him. I'm just saying that don't be surprised if he cracks the top 20 or hits the board in the top 10, because if I pick him, he's going to play awful. I don't want to keep jinxing the guy, so I'll leave him alone.
I love it. Anything else you want to cover before we get out of here?
No, that's it. Take your shots this week.
You got anything you want to plug?
Nope. I'm still riding high off the Preakness and last week, man. I'm just hoping I don't send all the money back.
I love it. I was happy for you. The Koepka call. I'm disappointed in myself because, I was in a lot of ways the first person to kind of get on the Koepka, majors. It's just something different. Even before he started winning majors, just because he had a bunch of good finishes in like 14 and 15 and 16. And you were the one that told me at the Masters, like, Keith, it's Koepka. What are you doing?
Yeah.
He had one bad year. And then for me not to include him as an official play was just dumb, especially because I have him in my DK lineup. So again, I obviously, it's only 10 golfers. So he was, one of the 2 expensive guys I like this week. But just a great call by you. You can, again, every Wednesday, I go on ESPN Northwest Florida, the Inside Drive, talk the golf event for that week. We'll be talking about the Charles Schwab tomorrow. If you listen to that show just in general, though, last week, you would have got the winner to the Preakness for free.
Yeah.
Because my man Alan is on there usually Thursdays or Fridays talking gambling.
I call in every day.
Oh, do you really? Is it got to where it's every day? I love it.
Yeah, pretty much every day.
I love it. Maybe I'll have to start calling in then. Have some fun. Just mess with Jay.
Yeah, Jay's awesome.
He's the man. All right. Well, we really appreciate it. Be sure to check out fantasysixpack.net. A lot of good articles on baseball, Basketball is wrapping up, but a lot of good stuff on basketball. And then it's unbelievable all the content they have during football season. And be sure to give me a follow on Twitter at Keith Flemming, all spelled out. Give Alan a follow on Twitter. That's at ActivityLazy85. But for Keith and Alan, this has been the Charles Schwab Challenge preview. We'll see you guys soon.
Take care.